Great. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the second session of our QGIS Open Day. So, for our next session, we have Tim, who will be showing us something really, really cool when it comes to using both QGIS, Mergin, and GeoNode. But let me not take much of time and hand it over to you, Tim.
Thank you, Sia. Be aware. And I'll also mention that I'm joined with Moloko, who did a lot of magic in the background on the servers to make this demo work for you. And I think Jeremy also helped to make some of the pretty maps that you're going to see on the GeoNode. So um, feel free to jump in and add anything you like during the presentation. Yeah, so the idea of this presentation is, well, just a little bit about me. So I'm Tim, I'm from Cortosa. We are a company that exists to try to make open source GIS part of every aspect of society and make it accessible to everybody in society, from government through to private users. And we've been very involved in the QGIS project. Um, And yeah, so I spend a lot of time talking with customers and trying to explain to them what you can do with open source GIS. And I like to make this tell the story that I'm going to show you today because it provides a compelling narrative about why open source GIS is so powerful and why it can replace proprietary GIS and do all the same things that you do in a proprietary stack, and even integrate with proprietary GIS if you need to, as you can see my little red boxes on the diagram there. And we kind of present 5 different components in a stack that can be provided from open source GIS. And those cover mobile, so that's something that can run on your laptop, so on your cell phone, and you can use it to go out in the field and collect data or view data. Um, and then it covers desktop, which is like QGIS, obviously. But there are also other open source desktop applications like white box tools and grass, and there's a whole bunch of different things you can do with other command line tools like GDAL and Ogre. Um, and then the heart of our GIS deployments is usually Postgres, which I always like to call it an enterprise relational database management system so that people can understand that it's not just like a hobby, a hobby database. It's like runs, most of the internet runs on Postgres, like the domain name system runs on Postgres, and it can scale to billions and billions of records, and it can do all fancy stuff that you can do in Oracle and SQL Server, like data table partitioning, sharding, replication, security, um, stored procedures, functions, extensions, all these kind of things are all available in Postgres. And there are even variants of Postgres which are dedicated for working with temporal data and other kinds of data. OpenStreetMap, all of the OpenStreetMap data, I believe, sits in the Postgres database as well. So really powerful database is a great backend for your GIS deployment. And the fourth component that I usually present is like how you bring the data out to your users, in your less technical users often, and that's using catalogs and portals and usually some kind of web interface. And again, there are many, many options for doing that. We're going to be showing you GeoNode today, but there's also in the QGIS land, there's G3W, QGIS Web Client 2, LizMap, and there's more out there. So and you can write your own web mapping applications using all these great open source libraries like OpenLayers and MapLibre and Leaflet and so on. So these 5 components are kind of what I want to show you, how you can integrate them all. And really, that is the art of open source, is figuring out which components to use and how to integrate them in a seamless way. So we're going to start our journey looking at QGIS Desktop, and I've made a very simple project here, which is already published in Mergin Maps. I'm not going to do the whole complete workflow, but you can see I've got this project called My Geo Community. And if I say open it, you'll see that for the purpose of this demo, I made it really simple. So it's got two layers, one which is for areas that you can capture. So there's a silly looking red box that I captured there. And if you capture a new area like this, let's just do another one, something like this. It just asks you something like a name. So I can say open day or something like this. And the second layer, and I'll just save my changes there. And the second layer I have is a points of interest layer, and it's just a collection of dots with two columns, a name and a description column. And you can see those dots on the map there. And again, I can come in here, and on my desktop, I can capture new points onto this layer. Something like that, and take a note that I put it here sort of in the middle of Spain, right? When I do this workflow, I basically use all the normal knowledge that I have in QGIS, but this project is cloud enabled via Mergin Maps. It means that the changes I make here, I can save in my local project. It's saved into a geo package, but I can also come over here and I can say synchronize. When I synchronize, it will tell me, I see you've inserted one area, inserted one point of interest, and it sort of will take all those changes, those atomic changes I've made, and synchronize them to the Mergin Cloud platform. So that's the first component of our integrated GIS platform, is the idea that you can work on your desktop, use QGIS and the familiar workflows that you're used to, including, I wanted to just quickly divert into here and show you, including the form designer. So for example, if I come in here and I change this to QGIS Open Day or something like this, and I customize the form, I put some validation rules in here, for example, to make it unique or not null or what have you. Whatever I change in here, these will get propagated into the cloud and then over to my mobile, which we'll look at shortly. And then when I'm finished, I can save my project. If I synchronize again, it will probably show you now that the project has changed. You see there it says project has changed. So I can synchronize that over to the cloud. So that's just normal workflow, and sort of if you already use QGIS Desktop, that's probably all quite familiar. The only difference being that I've registered this project inside of Mergin Maps. The next cool thing that happens is if I go to Mergin Maps and I look at my project, they've got an online map where I can actually view the project in my web browser. And if I zoom in here, you can see that new polygon I just created. It's already displaying here on the map. And the new dot that I created, the open day map dot that I just made, it's displaying on the map. They note that this is still beta, but this is using QGIS which is a server-side rendering engine for QGIS projects to display it. So you see that it's got exactly the same cartography. It's got the same white ring around my red dots and the same orange color on the polygons and so on. So I get a sort of one-to-one representation of whatever I developed on the desktop already in this web map in my Mergin Maps project. But what's even more great is that this project is now sitting in the cloud, in Mergin Maps cloud environment. So it's sitting over here. And then Mergin provides this tool. Let's go next to, so I'm just going to jump. So that's what I just showed you. Then it provides this mobile application for your mobile. It runs on both Android and iOS that you can install, and you can connect using your same credentials to your Mergin account, and it will show you all your projects. And I'm going to try to show you that on my phone, but I just need a second to just get connected to do that. Just give me 1 second. I have to just stop sharing here quickly. Okay, so now I'm on my phone and I'm looking at Mergin Maps for mobile. And you can see that I don't yet see those new dots that I've added here, but if I go and synchronize, so I'm clicking on the little sync button bottom now, suddenly the polygon that I created popped up, and this dot in the center of Spain has popped up on my phone. So completely seamlessly, all I had to do is just press this little button in the bottom left-hand corner to synchronize. Sorry, it's in Portuguese, but hopefully it makes sense for you. And you can go into the menu here and go and choose from different projects. So like you can hop from one project to another easily like this. And I'll just go back into there. So all the projects that you create will be just listed on your phone, and you can open any one. Again, it's using the QGIS rendering engine on the phone. It's basically QGIS running on your phone with some custom user interface. And in this environment, I can also capture data, and it's GPS enabled. So let me capture a new point. So I'm going to choose the point of interest layer, and I'm going to go somewhere unique. Let's go just over here. And you can connect an external GPS to it as well if you want to get really accurate, or you can do like I'm doing and do like manual digitizing. When you've at the correct location, if I press this button in the bottom right-hand corner, this circle with the compass icon in it, it will zoom to my GPS location, which I won't do for this demo because I want to do it to a custom place. And you can see the form that I modified. So remember, I wrote open day after description. Everything that I do in my QGIS desktop layer form gets described or gets transferred to the phone and automatically turned into a nice mobile friendly form. And you can have, this is obviously a simple demo, but you can have much more complex forms with combo boxes and checkboxes and tabs and all sorts of other nice things there. So let's put another QGIS open day. Okay, so I've captured my attribute data and I can save it now. And now, I don't know if you saw, but the synchronize button in the bottom left here automatically sort of synchronize. You can turn it on or off, but you can set it to auto sync your project. And then I'm just going to go back to here and stop the screen share. How do I stop the screen share? I'm going to start the screen share back on my desktop. Okay, so we just to keep track in the journey. So now we've done the desktop, we've created a project, we've synchronized our data to Mergin Cloud. Now we've been onto the mobile environment. opened that project, captured data on it, and it's synchronized back to Mergin Cloud. So if I come and look here now on the map and zoom out a bit, and then zoom into that island that I captured, you see the point that I captured is just automatically there. Extremely seamless. I didn't have to do anything here. Just came back and zoomed to the place, and I see the dot on the map. One of the nice things that Mergin does is it keeps a history of every change you've made. So you can see like the change that I just did on my phone shows as an edit. And you can actually go and inspect it, and it will show you that I've added 1 point, and or I've edited a point, or I've deleted a point, whatever the case may be. And you can actually download each independent version. If you made a mistake somewhere in your data collection, it works a little bit like a Git version control if you did any coding. So you can use this download button here to actually download each of the versions that you worked on. And you can also create teams of people and add collaborators. And so you can have 20 people going out in the field capturing data all at the same time and contributing the data back into the same project. They've actually got some advanced features where you can create like geo-partitioned areas for people to capture data in. So if you're doing a survey and you don't want one person to capture in one area where another person's also capturing, you can partition it off in all sorts of clever ways. So now we've been mobile, and the data is being pushed back to the cloud. So the next exciting part in the journey is to look at these two tools that they provide. These are published by Lutra. They're open source tools, and they're complementary tools that you can use together with your Mergin projects. I'm only going to be demoing this one today, but I'll just explain to you what this one is that if you're on your phone and you have a QGIS project which has photos or other attachments, you can like have the form say, okay, take a photo of the, let's say you capturing the infrastructure in your city. You can have it, part of the form is that you take a photo of the item. And this Mergin Media Sync will allow you to pull the data out of Mergin Cloud onto your own platform, be it on your laptop or on your cloud server. And that way you have data sovereignty. You basically get to store all the data that you capture in your own infrastructure if you want to, and you're just using this as a conduit to getting the data into your own infrastructure. And then there's Mergin DB Sync, which is what I'm going to be demonstrating to you now. And what that does is it basically runs in the background and looks at these change sets that come into to your Mergin Cloud project, your Mergin Maps project. And whenever there's a change, it goes and grabs it and applies that change to your own Postgres database. So it creates a Postgres schema, which is like a folder inside of your Postgres database, which is a mirror of whatever you had in your original geo package. So if my geo package is this one here, this is my geo community project, and it's got these two layers inside of it. I'll have a database table with a database schema with two tables inside of it that match the same schema. And as the data is being captured, it will on the fly insert those records or delete those records from the database so that your database is an exact copy, your own copy of your own data that you've captured, and it's not trapped in the cloud in the Mergin Maps platform. I'll just show you quickly here as well that if I come back, because I captured some new records, you'll see that there's no red dot there yet, but I can easily come and get that by just clicking on synchronize. The synchronization is bidirectional. So if I press on sync, it will fetch whatever happened on my mobile device and bring it into my QGIS project on my desktop. And then if I capture something on my desktop, again, it goes back to the cloud and then to the mobile devices. So everything is completely seamless there. But now I've got the data on my desktop, I've got the data on my phone, but this workflow will allow me to get the data out of the Mergin Maps cloud environment and into my own infrastructure. And what Moloko, who's say hi Moloko, has done is
Hello.
has registered this project. So you need to put in some credentials for the particular project you're working with, like on our server where we run Mergin DB Sync, and he's also registered the database credentials with this service. And then the data is being pushed continually into our Postgres server. And then from there, there's a couple of steps that we have to do to get it published. So I'm just going to explain a little bit what those were. Just want to go back to here. So behind the scenes of GeoNode is a GeoServer instance. And GeoServer is a powerful... Oh, I've been logged out again. Okay, I'm just going to need a second to log in. Maybe Moloko, if you want to explain a little bit what we've done there, what you did to get the layers registered. I'm just going to... So I just need to stop my screen share while I get my password back quickly.
Okay. So in GeoServer, we created a data store that connects to the database that Tim mentioned. And then this database is the one that will be, it won't be pulling the data, but it will be receiving the data from Mergin DB Sync, which synchronizes with the Mergin cloud. And then every time there's a change on the Mergin cloud, DB Sync picks that up and then it passes it over to the database. The database updates the store, and from the store you can view your layers, but you still have to upload your layers from that store. The first time this is done, okay, let me stop right there for the database, and then Tim will pick it up from the GeoNode section. I think something that would be interesting, Tim, is if you could show the logs of what Mergin DB Sync actually does.
Maybe you can show that on your screen in a second. So I'll just quickly show. I've got my login sorted out now. I'll just
Okay.
quickly show what happens on GeoServer, and then we can show the logs as well. So what we do is we create if you know GeoServer, it has this concept of stores. The store is like a connection to a folder or a database or some place where data comes from. And so I made a store for Mergin, for syncing our Mergin data. And you basically put in your database credentials in here. Yeah, you just need to basically put the connection details for your database into this to create the store. And then we go to our layers in GeoServer and we create a couple of layers. So you see that I've just created a layer for the points of interest here. So if I go look at this one here, you'll see that you can see that the column names and things from the database have been pulled through here. And you can also create custom layers using that same data connection, which we're going to show you in a minute. But basically, I create a store, I create a layer, one for each of the layers in the tables in the database. So this is the areas one here. And then do the usual GeoServer configuration things for these layers. And then they get published as web maps, simple web maps. So go look over here and see them. They don't bring the QGIS cartography through with them because they are GeoServer layers. So I made approximately similar cartography in GeoServer, but it's not actually, you can see it's got like a black outline around the dots and so on. But you will notice that all the dots that we collected are already showing up here. See if I can click on that. Okay, I don't know the feature info showing. So maybe Moloko, you can jump to your screen and show the logs, and we can see. I can maybe even capture a point quickly while you're showing the logs, and then
Look, I think you're muted.
Oh, excuse me. I was saying, as you can see, every, I think, 10 seconds, it polls the Katuza My Geo Community project on the Mergin cloud. And then if it doesn't see any changes on Mergin Maps, then it doesn't push or pull anything. So right now, when Tim makes a change on either mobile or QGIS and syncs it to Mergin cloud, this sync would detect that change and it will push that change to the Postgres DB that my GeoServer is connected to. So he created the data store, which is part of the connection between the database and the GeoServer layers.
so I'm
So
going to
as he's
save a
doing
point
that,
now. You should see it come through in the logs now.
okay,
It will take 10 seconds.
just make sure that, there we go. So
I
it
made
should
one
say,
for Italy. Does it show the details? Oh, no, it doesn't
yeah,
show the name.
it detected a change in this geo package, and then it will register a new version of so version 48 that Tim was showing. So that history that Tim showed in the cloud, it will show a new version of the My Geo Community package that has the new entry that that Tim just made. Tim, did you make it via mobile or
Yeah, I did it from my phone.
from phone? Yeah. And then that change should now reflect in the GeoServer layer.
We can go and have a look. So I captured it in
Yeah.
Italy. Go and
Okay.
have a look and see what that's showing there. So if I go back and look at the preview here, unfortunately, there's no base map, so I can't really see where Italy is, but we'll see in a minute when we go over to GeoNode
Yeah.
whether it's showing up.
That's
Yeah,
the
so
nice
that's
part.
the basic
Yeah.
flow of just getting a layer published. So this is a manual process. You need to come and configure these things in your GeoServer, and there's also something Moloko did to register the layer in GeoNode. This is the kind of things we usually help our customers get set up, but it's quite well documented in the GeoNode and GeoServer projects if you want to do this yourself. So then we can return to our journey. So now we're going to look at GeoNode and see how we can take that layer and view it in GeoNode. So I'll actually do it with the real demo instead of watching my video there. So we back in 2 years ago at the QGIS Hackfest in Holland, Hans van der Kwast and I had some brainstorming, and we said, oh, we should build a GeoNode, which is like an open GeoNode for anybody to come and use, because there are not really, I think, many public ones. But we will like carefully curate the data that goes into it so that it's actually useful layers in there. And so we went back and made this GeoNode called mygeocommunity.org, and it's meant to be like a public service to have this available. So if you want access to it, you can just come and register, and then there is a review process if you want to publish a layer. And there's some you can see on the top of the website here. There's some contributor guidelines and things in a video and so on that shows you how to start contributing. So this is a public access platform where you can come and publish geospatial data or documents, images, anything that's relevant to like the open source geospatial, open data geospatial community. And so what Moloko has done is he has taken the layers that I've created in Mergin Maps and in QGIS, and he's published them. So I just want to find the actual layers first. So so here's the same layer that we were just looking at in GeoServer, but now we're seeing it as a map as a data set in GeoNode. And there's the point that I just captured in Italy, for example. There's the point that captured in Spain, and so on. So you can layer by layer publish these and provide metadata for them. And again, when I capture new data, this will live update. So let me go back on my phone and just capture another point. So Beaver,
Hi, Tim.
can
Yes,
you confirm you can still hear me? Okay.
yes, I
I
can hear you.
think I lost connectivity for a second there.
Oh,
Let me
yes,
just...
yes, yes, we did.
I don't know where I lost you, but I was busy saying that I was capturing a point over
A
here. So I
point.
did that on my phone. So if I zoom in now to here, we should see we've got to wait for about 10 seconds for it to synchronize. I think my laptop is still... Is my screen share still working?
No, it's out.
Okay, let me just get my screen share up again. Just give me 1 second. Sorry. Okay, hopefully I'm back now.
Yes, you can see the screen.
Uh, okay, and so back to the map. You can see that the point that I collected is now showing up over here in GeoNode. I think I have to do like a hard refresh if I want to see it when I'm zoomed out. Let's just go back in here. There we go. So seamlessly move the data from my phone into the cloud and then out onto a map. And then you can start to have fun because now we've got this workflow where the data can be pushed from one modality to another easily from your desktop or from your mobile into the cloud and then onto your web portal. Then we can start to do things like making dashboards and making stories and making dynamic analysis platforms. So I'm going to show you some examples of that. First of all, I'm going to show you this one over here, which is a dashboard where GeoNode provides a dashboard similar to what you can do in ArcGIS Online. This dashboard is dynamic. So if you look at the number of points and areas shown here, as I zoom in Why is that not updating now? Normally it's going to be reflecting the number in the viewport. I think I might have just gone and broken something. Okay, anyway, it's showing the total number. There is a, let me just see if I can fix it quickly. There's an option to like live link the layers to the map. But it's okay. I won't try to fix it now. But you can see that basically this is showing me the number of records that are in the database. I've got 3 polygons and 30 points. And again, if I go to Italy or these new ones that are collected, they're available. And I can combine layers together. I can add other elements into the dashboard like graphs or text, images, and create some kind of nice story to tell what's going on. Now, one of the things that you'll see is that I've got these red buffers around the points. And what we did was we went into GeoServer and I just made another layer. This time the layer I made was a dynamic query layer. So it just has a simple query like this, which says select ST buffer. If you've done any PostGIS, this is standard like PostGIS capabilities. And then the geometry and then the distance of 50 kilometers around each point. And this becomes like a dynamic calculation that's done as every point arrives. It will calculate the buffer, generate the geometry for it, and present that in the layer. So if we go look in the layer previews here and look at it over here, you can see just these 50 kilometer circles around every point. And those we can then publish again into our GeoNode environment like this. And so as every time I capture a new point, a new buffer gets created automatically and published into GeoNode automatically, completely seamless. Let's show you then what else you can do is also make stories. So you can go over here and use a story like this. So story maps are quite popular. Also, I think there's something similar to this in ArcGIS Online. And they basically allow you to, they give you a content management environment. I won't try to edit it now, but you've got like editing tools where you can drop in different elements into your map, set the background, drop in text or images or what have you, and then you make this sort of like horizontal scrolling story. But you can also add maps and other spatial content into the story. So I'm telling the story that I'm telling you here in the session today, but just in this form of the scrolling narrative over here. But then when we get down to the bottom part here, you'll see that embedded in my story is a live map, and I can actually come and interact with this map and pan and zoom and click on things and what have you. So you could imagine if you're doing, I don't know, health surveys or house-to-house surveys or infrastructure surveys, you could assemble it as a story and then provide all the narrative parts about explaining what the story is, what's going on in this information that we're presenting to you, and also the maps themselves. I will mention that there is also like a permissions framework, so you can create a story like this, or a layer, or a map, or any object you create into your node. You can set fine-grained permissions, so you can say only registered users can see it, or only users from a specific group, or some users can see it, but they can't edit it, and so on. Right, so we get to the sort of end of our story today. That's basically we've been able to move data all the way from a simple QGIS project into Mergin Maps, into the cloud, onto our mobile device, and push it up into a database. In that database, you can do anything that you can do in Postgres with that layer, including like dynamic analysis of the data. And then we can publish it on into GeoServer and GeoNode to make it available to our, let's say, less GIS technical users in a nice digestible form, like these stories and so on. That's not all though, because we can also, once the data is in GeoNode, we can also integrate it with proprietary software that maybe we want to consume that data. So I've got Google Earth here, for example. Oh my God. Google Earth. And I can connect to this data from Google Earth. So the process for doing that is you go tools and then you, you go add, image overlay. It's a little bit kind of weird. You've got to go into this refresh button, WMS parameters here, and then you can add WMS sources. So the web mapping service is what GeoNode uses to, GeoServer uses to publish your layers, and you'll see all the layers from my GeoServer are here, including my areas and my point buffers and my points. Yeah, so I can add any one of these to a layer, like for example, like this, and then add it into my, let's call this buffers, and then add it into my project. All right, there's some, I've got to go and configure the transparency, so it looks a bit weird there, but here's the points that I've done. Now, they look also a little bit weird because they're rasterized, and there's also a way to bring in KML out of your GeoServer, so you could actually just drop the KML into here as well, and then they would, you could set your own markers in Google Earth Pro or whatever you. So this provides a very straightforward way to pull data like all the way through and then bring it into some other third-party systems like Google Earth. With, again, minimal effort. It really just took a few clicks to get that integrated into the proprietary tools. And I've got one more example. This one I've only got a screencast of because I don't have ArcGIS on my computer. Probably not a big surprise to most of you, but a friend made this video for me of connecting from her ArcGIS online account to the same map. And again, you can see there's the areas, the buffers, and there's the points of interest layers. So they're all just immediately available in ArcGIS online and ArcGIS ArcMap or ArcGIS Desktop, whatever products you're using, and you can integrate that data straight from your open source workflow into your proprietary tools as well if you want to. So yeah, if you're interested in doing this kind of stuff, Cartosa, we provide like hosting packages, which come with support as well, end user support. Each package has different number of hours of end user support where we provide you consulting time and help you get these kind of things set up. So do pop us a note if you want to try out these things. We also, you can visit geospatialhosting.com if you want to, and you can find these products available online, and we're going to be bringing other open source hosted solutions there as well soon. So do pop us a note if you want some help getting the similar workflow set up for your projects as well. Yeah, we'd love to talk to you. We'd love to hear the kind of things that you're doing. Cartosa is also a Mergin Maps partner. So if you want help in setting up the whole workflow, we can also help you. Usually go and buy your Mergin Map subscription, and then we'll just link everything up for you into your GeoNode. So with that, Moloko, did I leave anything important out?
No, you did a good job. Yeah,
Okay,
looking
good, good.
forward.
So if anybody has any questions, we'd be happy to answer them if we can.
So far, there's no questions in the chat, but thank you so much, Tim and Morocco. I think one question from me is, what other hiccups that you came across while doing the whole setup? So, what have you learned, like the do's and don'ts? I know that systems process, when it comes to any system, there's always improvements, but just for this period, what did you learn? Yeah.
Well, I would say based on complexity level, the easiest part, maybe it's because I'm most familiar with it, is setting up your project in QGIS and creating your layer and your styling and so on. So that's the same workflow that you always do. It's low complexity. The only thing you need to do is make sure your project is like using a geo package ideally. And then the configuring the syncing to Mergin maps, they make it very, very easy. So you basically just register a project, and I guess you could run into some hiccups if you've got a more complicated project with a lot of detailed, complicated forms, but in general, it's pretty straightforward. And then the complexity starts to get a little bit higher when you move into the GeoServer configuration, because you need to understand about how to create stores and layers and connect to your database and so on. But that wasn't really very difficult. If you've got any basic knowledge of GeoServer, it's 10 minutes of work to do that. And then getting that across to GeoNode is probably where the highest complexity is, because and also setting up DB Sync, which is again like a service we provide for customers. But if you're doing it yourself, you need to know how to run Docker containers and configure the connection to your database and what all your credentials are, and make sure that you've got everything set up just right. Those are also well documented on the Mergin DB Sync website, so it's not terribly, terribly hard. It's just understanding the workflow. And then, yeah, so I mean, actually, there are no huge, big, difficult, obstacles. It's just really having a clear sense of the workflow, and then going through everything step by step. And within, a day, you can have a nice project setup that's got this end-to-end workflow. Moloko,
Tim,
maybe
can
you
I?
want to add to it? Yeah.
Yeah, just the one part which was making our layers public on GeoNode. That one was quite hidden. There was not a lot of content out there on how to make it public, but it was a simple step. If somebody's familiar with GeoNode, they'd know that after running the update layers command in the backend, that they would have to go to GeoNode and then make it visible so that
Yeah, I
the
can show quickly
WMS,
here.
yeah, that was one part that wasn't so obvious.
So yeah, you need to go to this, the layer here, and then you need to go to
Sure.
share, and then you need to make sure that by default it's not shared. So then it won't be available, but you need to make sure it's set to view so that other people can see it as well.
I think the issue is that the update layers is done by the admin user. So admin user layers don't seem to be quite visible unless you do this process.
Yeah, and the one other thing is that GeoNode command that you mentioned is it's has to be run on a server. So there's no like point and click button for doing that. So that's a little bit technical, although we're planning to add an extension to GeoNode for our hosted GeoNode that will give you a button that will just directly do that for you. And that's about it.
All right. Thank you so much, Tim and Moloko. That was a very, very um, fun and interesting topic, but also really, really enjoyable. Learned a lot. Yes, there aren't any questions, but Thank you everyone for joining this session. See you in the next one, like 10 minutes or so. And that's
Yeah.
it.
Come and watch that one because there you can learn about QField, which is another way to
Yes.
do the same workflows we've just been showing you now. Yeah. Thanks. Okay. We'll talk to you soon. Thanks. Bye.
Thank you.